Mic check, we're about to do After GMS. Welcome, welcome, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on After GMS, a little show we put together with careful thought and consideration. By the way, we didn't just throw this together. No, we plan it out.
That was well thought out.
And we have a lot of fun, too.
Yeah.
I'm Tracy McCain here with my careful planner, Megan Milleris, Christian Morgan, and Ed Matthews.
Yes, well, Mother Nature has carefully been planning how to make us more and more miserable with this relentless pattern of heat, humidity, mugginess, stickiness. I need more adjectives.
I think you got all the adjectives in there, Megan. It is hot and steamy. That will be the story, too, as we go throughout the rest of the week. There's not a whole lot changing, and we like persistence, don't we? We'll run our temperatures up to around 90 degrees this afternoon and over the next few afternoons, too. And much like the last couple of days, we'll have that chance for an isolated pop-up shower or thunderstorm. That chance stays pretty low today and tomorrow and Friday. I can tell you there will be a storm or two in the area. I just can't tell you exactly when or where they'll be. Very hit or miss in nature, but as a cold front gets a little closer to us heading into the weekend, those rain chances go up just a tad to a 40% chance on Saturday, 40% chance on Sunday. But I'll tell you, none of those days, neither of the weekend days, Saturday or Sunday, are going to be a washout. So go ahead with any weekend plans that you had, or go ahead and make some weekend plans if you don't have them already. And then that weather pattern stays pretty much the same going into next week. 50% chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm on Monday, 40% on Tuesday, but our temperatures will stay in the upper 80s, close to 90.
All right, it's going to be hot, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it, yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our first conversation this morning. The cost of living in the U.S. rose at its fastest pace in about 13 years. It is impacting your lives and, of course, your wallets or your purses, right? Your pocketbook. So that brings us to this morning's question. What are you paying more for lately? You guys are already jumping in on the feed here, but I also asked this question on my Facebook page. Antonia says gas, groceries, toiletries, and flights. Jan says gas, food, lumber. Pretty much everything. Troy says rental cars. Didn't think about that.
Yeah, we got some text responses this morning as well when we talked about this on the Good Morning Show. This viewer said beach chairs. Another wrote, my landscaper and housekeeper went up. I pay more for gas and meat, especially beef. It almost makes me want to go vegetarian. I can give you some tips on that. Trisha said, I am paying more for gas. I went from 35 to fill up to 50. Sam said, I'm an electrician. The price of copper is through the roof. What used to cost me $65 for a coil of wire is now $180.
Wow.
Heard the same for wood and materials to build houses, which is why in part we're in the housing crisis we are in.
Yeah, absolutely. Lumber prices are up. I mean, just think about like all the things that the materials that you need, including the drywall. That's also up. So yeah, that's leading to the housing shortage right now. I think I've been paying a lot more for everything, but gas is certainly on my list. I spent 2 weeks ago $65 to fill up my tank, and just yesterday I spent $70 to $75 to fill up my tank. So already in 2 weeks, those prices have jumped. Granted, I drive a tank, so I'm gonna expect to have to pay those prices. But gosh, it's just hitting the wallet pretty hard right now.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Yeah, I've noticed gas as well has gone up, definitely. Also the price for produce. I noticed fruit has gone up. I mentioned on the Good Morning Show, I had a carton of some kind of fresh cut up fruit the other day, and I ended up putting it back because it was like $10. I'm like, oh, I'll just buy the whole fruit and cut it up myself, even though it's a little more labor intensive and time consuming. But yeah, definitely grocery prices. But something that has worked for me is buying the store brand of certain items, especially the boxed things that you can get for much cheaper if you buy the store's brand name of those products than say the other versions that are a little bit more expensive that the stores have to do a little more effort to get in stock.
Yeah.
So that has saved me money over the years, Ed. I know you are a saver as well. You try to be smart about how you save your money.
Yeah, another word for that is being stingy as well.
Oh,
It's like, yeah, I'm pretty stingy.
Resourceful.
Yes.
You know, Megan, you were talking about produce, and I was in a supermarket, unnamed supermarket, the other day. I like avocados. I think that's a good breakfast treat, and it's very healthy. 2 for $5. 2 avocado for $5. What? You got to be kidding. So that's not on my menu anymore. But I would say in general, groceries, especially items from the meat department. I tell you what, I've just about given up on eating steaks anymore. But across the board, whether it be beef or poultry, the prices have gone up. And of course, gas, it's out of control.
So
Crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Christian wrote on our feed here, he said, I feel like I'm paying more for everything. So what does that include, Christian?
Everything.
Everything.
No, you mentioned gas. Golly, you said $70 to fill your car up, and I thought the 50 was bad for me. So, you know.
And yours is just as big as mine.
It's close. It's not quite, but it's close. But you know, you were talking about groceries, and Ed's talking about meat. I mean, really, it's everything. I went to the store last night and bought yogurt, and I was like, do I remember paying this much for yogurt? You know, 2-3 weeks ago. I feel like in the last couple of weeks, it's really gone up. And you know, like everything I bought last night at the grocery store, I was like, I don't know if I remember paying for this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. The comments are literally flowing into the page. I have to scroll up like a few times to get to the very first one, but here's one that I just saw. Bobby Harold said groceries, excuse me, gasoline, property taxes, you name it, it all went up. Tracy Moore said paper goods and groceries. Let's see, Dana said everything. Dwayne Young said groceries and gas. Bobby Odom said that he spent $10 for a combo meal at McDonald's, so that went up, he said. That's crazy. I'm so used to that dollar menu if I go. Yeah, me too. Dave Westbrook said everything and don't even think about trying to get a car. Dana said premium gas is almost $4 in her neighborhood. And let's see. Melanie said cost of everything is crazy. Make cakes and cake supplies have made me cry lately when I order them. And Sandra said all the restaurants and fast food places have increased their prices. So
I'll tell you something else too. Some folks have been mentioning on the chat here about cars and buying cars.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the price of cars and used cars has skyrocketed. It's
They're in
bad
demand.
bad if you're looking for one. Great if you're trying to sell one. But you know, you can't find you can't hardly find a good used, at least in my case when I've been looking, you can't hardly find a good used truck anymore. I feel like they're really hard to come by, and prices are out the roof.
Yeah, people are making money on their used cars.
Yeah.
They are selling for more than they bought them for, and now they have more mileage on them. It is crazy, and that in part, as we've reported, is due to the chip shortage. Cars have a lot of chips in them. These manufacturers aren't able to make them as quickly due to production issues stemming back to the pandemic. And so it's all a trickle-down effect.
And Tanya Rivera, who leads our 2 Wants to Know department, did a story about this the other day, and she also credited it to people not having to drive as much. So they're keeping their cars longer.
Yeah.
Most people didn't drive at all last year. They worked from home. They did everything at home. So they're able to hold on to their cars a little bit longer, so that used car market isn't getting the inventory that it normally does every year. Also, I did a story about inflation a few weeks ago with our money expert, Janae Adams, and she offered some tips to kind of avoid rising food prices, rising gasoline prices, and of course, rising flight prices. And she said, you know, you really just have to shop around, especially for flights. Same thing with rental cars. She's like, you can find deals out there, but don't expect it to be the deal that you got 5 years ago. When it comes to groceries, she said, plan ahead for multiple meals. So cooking things like pastas that you can get multiple days out of instead of like a one dinner plate, you know, cook for several meals. That way you have more that can last longer. So those are just a few of her ideas, and you can find those in the Good Morning Show section of our website.
It's a great suggestion. I try to make a pasta at the beginning of the week, so then we have leftovers later on. I think pasta is better reheated. So yes, I love that tip.
Yeah, so we appreciate you guys rolling it into you know, our feed and making sure that you comment. We do have another conversation coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, first we do have some morning headlines to get to, and we'll start with some school news here. For the first time during the pandemic, the Guilford County Schools Board allowed the public, parents, into the meeting yesterday. The biggest topic of discussion was what the next school year will look like for students and staff. Some board members say they're concerned about rushing to return to normal too quickly, while others say it's time to move on from the pandemic with caution. Also during that meeting, Superintendent Dr. Sharon Contreras addressed emergency powers. She received that authority early on in the pandemic to make decisions quickly about COVID safety. Board member Anita Sharp questioned whether it was time to remove those powers from the superintendent, but they are staying in place for now. Dr. Contreras said she has not used those powers yet and has taken her decisions to the board.
Well, more students are taking summer classes to get caught up after a year of learning remotely, but that might not be enough to get some students back on track. WFMY News 2's Itanese McMiller has more on a tutoring program that is working to bridge the gap.
Well, Read Write Spell typically meets students where they are and tutors them at their school. But during the pandemic, parents had to bring their students here to their center, but many couldn't make that drive. So more than 100 of their students were not able to get the help they needed. The nonprofit says the students they work with were already behind before the pandemic, so the need is greater than ever for students to work with tutors on a one-on-one basis. Right now, 80 tutors are expected to teach 140 students across 20 Forsyth County schools this coming school year. The nonprofit says the county is in a reading crisis and they need more tutors for students to succeed.
We have schools in which only less than 20% of their students in third grade can read proficiently. And proficiently doesn't mean they're out there picking up a book and sitting down and reading. Proficiently just means they can muscle through their schoolwork. So those are the schools that we're targeting.
They're looking for 45 tutors for kindergarten and first graders and 20 for their second and third grade program. No experience is needed, and there are several days of training and at least a year-long commitment is needed. And virtual information sessions are held every second Tuesday of the month, and tutoring begins in September. In Winston-Salem, Forsyth County Schools says they plan to focus on literacy this upcoming school year as well, and plans to work with this program and others to get students caught up. But for more information on this program, visit our website at WFMYnews2.com.
And now for our next conversation, I'll tell you this, when Megan and I heard about this in the car the other day, oh my goodness, our hearts melted. A Greensboro restaurant known for its paninis and sandwiches is closing its doors. The owners of Melt Kitchen and Bar announced its closing and blamed the pandemic in an announcement on Instagram this week. Melt first opened 6 years ago off Golden Gate Drive, then moved to New Garden Road, where it's been for the last few years. The owners recently cut back restaurant hours because of a shortage of workers, and we are so sad to see Melt go. Their story inspired the question for this conversation, which is about businesses closing during the pandemic. Has a favorite restaurant or business closed since the pandemic and you miss it, want it to come back? Let us know in the comments below. I was thinking about this and you know, my favorite restaurant closed prior to the pandemic, so I guess it doesn't count, but I'll still say it. Libby Hill Seafood.
Oh, yeah.
It breaks my heart every time I think about it. It's just so good. I love seafood anyway, and it's not necessarily the easiest thing for me to cook unless it's salmon in the broiler or something like that. So so good. But thankfully, some other of my seafood places are open.
Yeah.
But I do miss it.
Yeah, sad about Melt. As you said, when we heard about this, we were like, wait, what? I just drove by there the other weekend, the location on New Garden Road, which is the only remaining location, until yesterday when they announced the closure, and it was packed. I mean, there was a line out the door. People are always clamoring to get in there, so we always tried to go on the early side so we could get in, but always had great experiences, good food, a diverse menu, even though they are known for their paninis, the staff was always friendly. As they explained in their Facebook post, there could be several factors to this. They did note the lack of employees, the pandemic hardships, and then spending more time with family. But all in all, it's really sad to see a business close, especially one that was so well liked by customers. Just a sign of the times, and unfortunately the reality, not everyone was able to come through this, and this labor shortage is a big deal.
Yeah, and it's making already tough situations harder for restaurants who are trying to stay open. So, you know, Ed Matthews is the king of downtown Greensboro, or mayor, if you'd like to say that.
Honorary mayor.
Oh my goodness.
Have you noticed restaurants closing in the downtown area, or?
Not right offhand, but you know, I know that there have been so many because I would hear about one closing and I'd go, oh man, I can't believe it. You've got to be, even in the best of economic times, you've got to be a very savvy business person to operate a restaurant. It's not an easy business. I've never owned one. I'd eat all the profit, right? But you got to be a real savvy business person to have a restaurant and run it successfully. Two places come to mind: Steak and Shake over on Lawndale.
Yes.
Love that place. And a place that, you know, longtime residents in Greensboro, it was very popular when I came here 33 years ago, and that's Southern Lights Bistro.
In that same area, right there, next to Steak and Shake.
Right in the same neighborhood, right in the same shopping center.
Target, right?
Now, Southern Lights used to be over on Friendly, just off of Friendly, and I tell you what, John Dries was the chef there. Some of the best food I've ever had. It was a great restaurant, and I was sad to see it close.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one. Southern Lights. We spent so many special, you know, anniversaries or just date nights there, and that one broke my heart too. Yeah. All right, Christian, how about you?
Well, I think locally, the one actually, you know, just a couple weeks ago, 1618 closed one of their locations.
Yeah.
They closed the downtown location, I believe.
Yeah, we had just eaten there.
So that was sad. That was sad. I hated to see that. But they still have a couple other locations, of course, across the Triad. So that is at least kind of the shining light to that story there. I feel kind of like Tracy here because I've just learned in the chat I am now beside myself. It's not necessarily in the Triad, so to speak, but it is within North Carolina bounds. And as you all know, I go back to Boone or back to App State as often as I can. And Jason just told me in the chat that my favorite barbecue spot in Blowing Rock Woodlands is closing. And I am beside myself. I asked him how much longer it's open. And if they close tomorrow, I'm going this afternoon. Okay, I'm going to make a fast trip.
Well, we can tell you are physically disturbed.
I am just
from this news.
I am not well right now.
Yes, your whole demeanor has changed. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh, that's sad.
Don't give Jason the satisfaction of crying on air. Like don't do that.
He better not be fooling with me either. I'm gonna be.
Well, hopefully not. No joking matter here, but a lot of you are, you know, weighing in here about, you know, restaurants that have closed. Joanne said there is a K&W still open in Winston-Salem. I think that was in response to one that was closed. Jason, everyone's talking about Libby Hill because I mentioned that it was closed. Jason says there's a Libby Hill up here that is open, and he lives, I think, in Surrey County. Like, you can correct me, Jason. I know so much about you. Dana also mentioning about Southern Lights. And Beef Burger is closed. Did you guys know that?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, remember the owner,
Yeah, so I mean, just a whole bunch of things that, you know, you just really love. Wanda Creedle said, Tasty Freeze. They were a small Zack or Boston's hot dog hamburger shop in Graham, so in Alamance County. So, I mean, again, this is not just, you know, in one location or the other. This is a statewide situation where restaurant owners, you know, just not able to hang in there, all of them. But some are opening. Bringing restaurants.
And I think a lot of us did what we could during the pandemic to support them as safely as we could. You know, I know we did a lot of takeout from some of our local neighborhood restaurants during the pandemic, trying to help keep them afloat. Some survived and others did not. Maybe others are temporarily closed and reopening later. But this is going to be an ongoing struggle for a while, especially until we can get people back to work.
Yeah, I mean, and Back to work, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest.
Yeah.
That's the biggest
Labor.
thing.
We keep hearing it time and again from these businesses. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you for these great discussions.
Yeah.
These were both really great. We appreciate you spending part of your morning weighing in on our feed.
Yes, and now we're going to give you the rest of what you're looking for. That final look at that forecast. Let me guess.
Yeah.
89.90.
Oh, Tracy.
So good.
You know,
So good.
Christian, have you noticed that she talks more meteorology every day?
I know.
I think she wants to join our weather team, and we would love to have her.
Couldn't
Tracy,
do it.
you go, girl.
Thank you.
I'm not coming for your job.
All right, you got it right. There you go. More heat and humidity, upper 80s to near 90 each day. Pop-up storms, few and far between through Friday. And then the slow approach of a cold front will give us a little better chance of scattered mainly afternoon and evening showers and storms for Saturday and Sunday, and we think maybe especially Monday, as the front might be right in our neighborhood at that time. Don't worry about the weekend. You'll just have to have plan B just in case some showers roll across your area. But overall, really a pretty typical July weather pattern continues.
All right.
I was starting to think, I think today's the 14th.
Yes.
10 days until my birthday. So it's not next week, is it? It's the week after? I don't know when my birthday is actually.
Well, I know the date, but
Who knows what day? But I was trying to think, I'm like, what's my weather? What's the
okay,
weather
a
going to
week
be
from
like?
Saturday is your
A week from
Saturday
Saturday.
birthday.
Oh, exciting.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I should probably look into this.
Yeah, do
ahead of
something.
time.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what the forecast holds when we get that far out.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for telling me about my birthday.
Yeah. Keep each other in check.
Absolutely. We'll be right back here tomorrow for another edition of After GMS at 7:45 on Facebook Live. Thanks, guys, for joining in and chatting with us.
See ya.